Just trying to take a deep breath before I. Okay. So what's going on, guys? I just had to hop on here because I have a lot of thoughts going on with this team. And I understand that we're, 11 games in, 12 games in, whatever it is. But from what I see, it doesn't look like much is going to change. And sure, they can just play better. Everyone can improve. It's a 162 game season. I understand that. But you can't play baseball like this. You just can't play baseball like this. And I think that it's pretty much established that the Mets have a lack of power in their lineup. We've talked about this before, way too many times. Pete Alonso is the only equalizer in this entire lineup and the only guy who can actually hit for prolific power in this lineup as compared to other lineups, like the Braves, where they have pretty much 1 through 9 guys who can hit the ball over the fence at will. And they were able to get away with this last year in terms of, they talk about, the shift being still there, and they were able to work around this. They were able to slap the ball around the field. But now that's not an option anymore. The shift is gone. You can't just live off of slapping the ball around the field and expecting for it to just magically drop. The way that works is whether you're going station to station, whether you're taking walks, whether you're not lifting the ball, nothing is going to happen. The offense is going to be like pulling teeth. And I understand that they've had a few decent offensive performances, but they're not going to sustain anything. In this game, you have to hit the ball hard. In this game, you have to hit for power. It's 2023. I understand hits count as hits and, whatever it is, but you can't rely on that. Those two little dribblers down the third base line last night by Tomas Nido and Luis Guillorme, that's not going to happen every goddamn time. And the fact that they chose to just ignore power in a power man's game, especially even more of a power man's game, is so frustrating. It is so frustrating. Not to mention, they might have an even bigger problem with basically just the overall hitting approach. This team does not know how to pull fly balls. And again, you have to pull fly balls. Shift going away, the biggest barrel window. That's just literally how it is. That's how this game works. And there's nobody on this team that really has the bat speed to even catch up to these types of pitches either way. So, there's so much going on that is wrong with this team. And 12 games in, it's so easy to see that this offense is not going to perform like it did last year unless they change their ways. It's just not going to happen. And I understand more disciplined players. I'm sure walking is good. We like walks. Walks are fine. But no one is going to swing the bat. Everybody on this team is just looking to draw ball 4. Like, if you see it right now, I understand Francisco Alvarez struck out to end the game today, right? In the big moment, 2 runners on, whatever. But to be honest, he did what I wanted anybody in this lineup to do. Swing the fucking bat. Everybody is just looking for ball 4 on this team. They don't even swing the bat anymore. This lineup is like pulling teeth. Scoring on this team is like pulling teeth. And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I'm sure tomorrow they'll hit and they'll have 5 runs in and 6 runs in. And everyone, we're going to be fine. Next game, 1 run. The next game, 2 runs. The next game, 7 runs. Oh, we're fine. World Series back on. There's no consistency. There is no sustainability in this lineup. You need guys who hit for power, and they don't have it. And it's going to be a massive problem. I don't understand where they would actually go for here. For those of you in here, like the stream for pain, I guess. But I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't know what to say anymore. You can bring up the kids all you want. And that's another problem that I have, is that this team is just too fucking old. You can bring up all the prospects that you want. Beatty should be up here, replacing actual dead weight on this roster. We talked about this in the podcast. If you guys want to see the episode that came out yesterday, episode 14, we talked about, everything that's going on here. But this is a problem. This is going to be a huge problem if they don't make a change right here. And they're not going to change this philosophy. That's the sad part about it. They're not going to change the philosophy, or even though they're going to adapt or die. Because I can tell you right now, they won 101 games last year, so they're confident in this lineup. But it's not good enough. It's not a good enough lineup. And I understand it may sound like I'm overreacting here, but who knew that a team and a lineup that is built for 1982 would regress into a bottom 10 offense? Who would have fucking thought? They don't hit the ball hard. They don't hit for power. They don't lift the ball. So what the hell are they going to do? So Pete Alonso's just got to do everything? So unless Pete Alonso hits 70 home runs this year, we're doing nothing. And I'm aware that Nimmo's a good hitter. I'm aware that Marte is a good hitter. I'm aware that Lindor can be a good hitter. I'm aware that all of these guys can be good hitters at their best. But this lineup altogether, the dynamic, it's flawed. It doesn't work in this era of baseball. It just doesn't work. And with the shift going away, like I said, that makes it even worse. And for some reason, the Mets have some kind of delusion that this style of baseball works. The thing is that before, when they brought in this approach of competitive ABs and putting the ball in play, the Mets were trying to hit home runs, and they were pressing and everything like that. And they kind of revised this team of guys who are, disciplined and walk and put the ball in play. The problem is you had all these guys selling out for power, and then you have all these guys who are not hitting for power at all. There's no balance. They haven't had a balanced lineup in a long time. It's a problem. It is a problem. Whether we want to dance around the fact that this is the 12th game of the season or it's not, it's an issue. I don't know why my stream is all bugging out right now, but for those of you watching, let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. But it's not going to change. It's not going to change. And that's the sad part about it. Because I'm sure they'll have their good games. I'm sure they'll hit tomorrow. I'm sure they'll have a great performance tomorrow. But they're not going to sustain anything. Not to mention, if you're going to bring back this same lineup that got one hit in an elimination game, you're basically just asking for it. So for those of you who are shocked that this offense is not performing the way that it is, this is what's supposed to happen with a team, with a lineup like this. That's what happens. It's just not good enough. It's not meant for this era of baseball. And unless they try to replace some dead weight with guys in Syracuse who do hit the ball pretty hard, it's not going to change. It isn't going to change. Alvarez doesn't look ready, to be honest. None of them look ready, to be honest. I'm going to tell you right now, Escobar doesn't look ready for the majors. Marcano doesn't look ready for the majors. Lindor doesn't look ready for the major. None of these guys look ready for this type of style of baseball. Welcome to 2023. It's either you hit homers, you hit the ball hard, or you die. That's it. There's no way you can fix this unless you change it. And heads are about to roll. I can tell you right now. There's no way to change it. There isn't. They had their chance to do it, and they blew it. Give us a possible trade target to help this lineup. Even if I did, Epler doesn't like power. So why would it even matter? But I would have went, Eloy Jimenez was somebody that was talked about during the offseason. That would be fantastic. I don't know. I feel like the standards are just a little bit too off, or maybe I'm just not getting the image here. But for some reason, there's absolutely just it's a crapshoot at this point. You can't hit like this. You can't play baseball like this. It just can't work. Not happy with this $400 million. And that's another thing. I don't know if is it 400 million, 360 million or something. I don't even know what it is. Too many inconsistent players getting a lot. Yeah, exactly. It's just, the thing is the problem is that they're not going to change. And even if they do start hitting, it's not going to last in this era of baseball. It's not going to last. I know there's some people who get on the analytics people and get on, the people who look at this data and, kind of, whether they make excuses or make excuses for not, but that's more of just seeing actual sustainability within the game of what works and what doesn't. This doesn't work. It hasn't worked for at least 6 years since the StatCast era, 6 years since the StatCast era came into its prime. It hasn't worked. It doesn't work. Putting the ball in play, drawing walks, going station to station, that doesn't work. If you look at a team like the Braves, sure, you'll have some frustrating hitters in there. You'll have your Eddie Rosarios, your Orlando Arcias, but you know that if a pitcher makes a mistake, especially, with pitchers, one of the biggest problems is command. If a pitcher makes a mistake, boom, that's over the wall. And instantly you have offense. And that's how baseball is now. And they just don't understand it. And even if they were to start hitting for power, there's nobody on this team who pulls the ball. Pulling the ball gives you the biggest barrel window to actually give you the biggest, possibility of hitting for actual power. And they don't do that. I know we talked about, this team having power hitters before they brought in this other unit. Like J.D. Davis has a lot of power. When he was here, he wasn't pulling the ball. And now look at him right now. Look at J.D. Davis right now on the Giants. Even if he comes back, let's say that they trade for J.D. Davis at the trade deadline, and he's been all successful or whatever for extra power, right? It's not going to change because their philosophy is using the whole field, slapping the ball everywhere, and, forget home runs, let's hit 300. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So unless our entire pitching staff, gives us 6 scoreless every single night, they have no chance. And it's not going to hold up, because there's another reason why it's not going to hold up. Because all of these guys are past the age of 33 or 30. They're not going to hold up all season. From every single aspect, this team is so flawed. And the sooner that people actually realize it, the sooner then it's actually going to be fixed. But it won't be. What are your thoughts on Jeff McNeil right now? To be honest, I'm so frustrated with just this lineup as a whole that, Jeff, it just blends in. Like, the whole situation just blends in. Like, if you're looking at this lineup right now, You have just a bunch of guys who do the same goddamn thing. And it's even worse because you have no dynamic now, and it's even worse when you take the shift away, like I'm saying. If you take the shift away, they're useless. None of it. Not to mention, I mean, we always talk about, I've always talked about how much I liked Luis Guillorme because he's able to spray the ball around or whatever. He's able to be a smart hitter and table set for the rest of the lineup. He's useless now too. He's obsolete now too. Guys, let me know if my mic is cracking or whatever, because I'm obviously screaming at the top of my lungs, but like Luis Guillorme is useless now too. I mean, there's so many guys who use the whole field or spray the ball around. It's obsolete now. You got to hit fly balls and you got to pull fly balls. Mike sounds good. Thank you. Like, it's just, that's how this game is. Welcome to this era of baseball. Whether you are into advanced data or not, whether you like that type of, whether you like those type of statistics or not. If you ever talk to someone like that, such as me, we'll talk about how batting average doesn't matter or batting average does not mean anything. Well, now it's even more useless than ever. And listen, I tried to warn people about the shift going away, of how it will be very frustrating offense, especially for the Mets. But they won 101 games last year. So I reckon you're against the shift. I'm, to be honest, I like the rules. Like, I don't really care how it like affects the Mets. I care how it kind of just affects baseball in that. I like the rules. I think that, like, I wouldn't say I was against the shift. I just didn't understand really getting rid of it. But now I kind of understand it. It's just basically more, it's more enabling power. And that's kind of just where the direction that this game is going in. And the thing is that the Mets need, a situation where, the most dominant part of this game is guys who can pitch and throw 100 miles an hour and guys who can hit the ball 100 miles an hour. I'm not really against the shift ban. I'm just kind of like, I don't, there's different ways that, how do I put this? There's different ways in which the game would change with the shift. And one of the main reasons I say I was probably upset about it was this Mets team right here. Like, we are going to be in, like, it's just, I don't like saying I told you so. Like, I really don't, to be honest. But, like, and again, 12 games in, but there just doesn't seem to be much of a change. So, for those of you, there's a poll in the chat. Let me know if you're still confident in this Mets lineup. Obviously, it is way too early, but I'm talking about the big problem down the line, the big picture here. This type of offense doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I really hope that it's not even shades of 2021. I can tell you right now. And I'm not really just talking about the cold hard results of how many runs we're scoring. I'm talking about the fact that this isn't a recipe for success whatsoever. You know what I mean? That it's just not a recipe for success. It's just welcome to the StatCast era. Welcome to the flying ball era. And the Mets just don't want to do it because for some reason they hated the dead balls last year. And Eric Chavez said, okay, we're just done hitting home runs. Or you just signed a bunch of guys who don't have prolific power. I really just, I don't know. It's just not, it's not a recipe for success whatsoever. Season's over. Well, it's not over, but you know what I know I kind of can figure out what kind of trajectory this is going in if this continues. Because you guys, I'm sure you guys have, and listen, you don't even need to look at numbers to know what's going on here, right? Just watch. Nobody swings the bat. They're all just looking to draw walks. And even when they do swing the bat, like, okay, we're down 2-1 today, right? You're watching 2-1 today. First two guys get on, right? We're starting a rally. They both walk. They're both searching for walks. And then you're like, okay, let's swing the bat. Put the ball in play. This is our approach. Well, nobody on this team can lift the fucking ball. Goes right to the ground, double play, inning over. There it is. That's it. This is the entire freaking offense with the occasional or, not occasional, but with the prolific or somewhat prolific home run from Pete Alonso. There you go. That's it. That's the whole offense. And if Pete Alonso doesn't do everything, if Lindor doesn't do anything, what are you going to do? There's no power protection. There's no power bats. There's nothing. And the fact that, this is the crazy thing is the fact that we're using the improvements to this lineup as kids who have next to no experience in the major leagues. We're saying Beatty, Alvarez, Vientos, Mauricio, even though they're hitting the ball hard very well in AAA, they have no experience. And we all know that they'll all be up here at one point. We don't know what they're going to do at the major league level. It's almost like they should have just been like, hey, there's no power in this lineup. You need power in 2023. Why don't we add somebody to this lineup that actually can hit a baseball over the fence? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Mets need to change their hitting philosophy. And that's the problem. This is the thing. That's the problem. They're not going to. They're not going to. That's the problem. They're not going to change the philosophy because they believe it works because it worked last year. Somewhat. They were able to get away with it. Let's not say it worked. They were able to get away with it. But they have too many regressive hitters. I mean, small ball works for Cleveland. It does. But what did they do this offseason? They got someone who can hit home runs. Josh Bell. They addressed their problem. Or they tried to help their problem. You know what I mean? They did that. What did we do? Tommy Pham? Danny Mendick? Omar Narvaez? Good as a 9-hitter. He's not power protection. That's how it is. That's how it feels. It's just it's a mess. It's a mess that they're not going to be able to pick up, like to clean up. I mean, you just run it down. This team doesn't hit for power. They don't hit the ball in the air. They don't hit the ball hard. They don't do anything. And it's not like this is something new. They did last year. They did this too. And they were able to get away with it. There was just no correlation as to where Yes, this team won 101 games last year. Fantastic. But what did they do in the playoffs? They got outclassed by better teams. Beatty needs to get up. Oh yeah, 100%. That's without a doubt. That's without even thinking of solving any problem here. That's without a doubt. Beatty should have been on the opening day roster. 100%. He's ready. He is ready for the majors. And I usually don't even push for prospects. I really don't. I really don't say this guy's ready. He should be plugged into this certain position. But as soon as they didn't sign Carlos Correa, it was Beatty's job to lose. And he didn't lose it. He won it in spring training. End of story. This is the same lineup that collapsed last September, and the pitchers break down too much. You're right. Well, that's and think about it, right? There's no injuries. No injuries. Who in this lineup got injured? Anybody injured in this lineup? Narvaez? I like Narvaez, but he's not an impact bat. He's a 9-hole hitter. I'm also and in terms of power, obviously, the second power bat that you're considering here is Daniel Vogelbach. He has been terrible. The right field wall has been shortened up for a known pole hitter throughout his career. But this Mets team, they said, nope, spray the ball around. If you were to look at the peripherals for Daniel Vogelbach, he's a pole hitter. He's always been a pole hitter. And they turned him into this spray hitter who looks at 9 out of 10 pitches down the fucking zone. If Daniel Vogelbach went to a team with an actual hitting approach that is not made for 1982, this guy would smash 25 homers. Easily. And I know everybody wanted to get rid of Conforto, and I wasn't big on really bringing him back. But if you look at him right now, he just said, fuck it. Let's just pull it and hit dingers. Let's just go. And we all know that Conforto, he was always somebody who would like to use the entire field because that was when the shift was in place. He was always a guy who loved to put his bat on the zone. That was his thing. He's been out of baseball for a year. And he's adjusted better to these new rules and this new era better than this entire Mets lineup. I'm pretty sure he's pulled the ball twice all year on 20 batted balls. Canna's better than Conforto. Never was. And isn't right now. Because Conforto has a little bit more of something that Canna doesn't have now. Canna used to have some power. He used to have some decent power. 2018, 2019, Canna. Ooh, you know how much I love my A's? Wanted Conforto back. And that's the funny part. Even if they were to bring Conforto back, let's say they trade for him at the deadline, right? Let's say they do. It's not going to help because they have the same hitting philosophy. They're going to tell him to go the other way. They're going to tell him to use the whole field. They're going to tell him to put the ball in play. The Mets believe that since the shift has gone away, that if they precisely hit the ball on the ground towards the middle of the diamond, it will be a hit every goddamn time, and we're going to go station to station every single at-bat. And it's going to work perfectly. And then Pete Alonso will just bail us out, 9 times out of 10. And not to mention, Pete Alonso never really sees that many pitches in the strike zone voluntarily. they're going to pitch around him. And then who's behind him? Vogelbach, who's just going to look at pitches pitches in the zone? Who's behind him? And that's another thing. Let's not forget that. That's another thing. Alvarez batting ninth. Sure, like every power source should. I understand he's a rookie. I understand he's young, but you're so desperate for power right now, and this guy's batting ninth behind Escobar. And for those of you who don't use weighted runs created plus, he's in the negatives. I'm pretty sure he's negative 24 right now after today's game. That's 124% below the league average of offensive production. That's how bad Eduardo Escobar is. And you put your top prospect below him. But that's water under the bridge, to be honest. This team leaves men on base a lot. They don't have anybody who can, hit homers at will. They don't have guys who can lift the baseball. Lifting the baseball goes a long way. Didn't even know that? Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Just hoping to see Beatty by the end of April. I'm hoping to see Beatty right now, to be honest. I'm tired. I'm really tired. This is getting ridiculous. It really is. I mean, it's a problem. It really is. And they're not going to, it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to change. Because it's not like we're overreacting to 12 games in. We saw this all year last year. They had zero power protection for Pete. They still don't. They weren't hitting the ball hard at all. They weren't lifting the ball at all. And now it's worse. What a shock. Can we get rid of Escobar? Yeah, and that's the thing. The base is loaded, right? I'm pretty sure. Didn't he walk the bases loaded? He walked the bases loaded, correct? Correct? I don't know. I forget. I hope so. I really hope so that he does make the changes, because it doesn't look like Epler wants to. That's the thing. And I don't like pointing fingers and, overreacting to that, but the team still has to perform at the end of the day. But one hit, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure it was just like a little. Oh no, it was didn't Marte get like a bunt hit? That's what I mean. It's just like this style of baseball doesn't work. It doesn't work. This station to station collecting all of these hits, it doesn't work. 95-mile-an-hour fastballs are not something that you can just basically tap over the third base line. You just can't do that. It's not going to work. This offense, I can tell you right now, is worse than 2021 right now. That's what I've seen these first 12 games. They're worse than 2021. That's how bad this offense is. And hopefully I'm wrong next week. Maybe next week we go on the podcast and I say, oh, we look great again. But who's gonna supply that power? It's going to be Alonso, right? Alonso has hit what, 5 homers already this year? It can't even carry us above 500. That's how much we rely on this guy. That's how much they rely on Pete Alonso. If he doesn't hit, if he doesn't do anything, they're not doing anything. And even if everyone around him gets their base hits, gets their batting average up, it's going to happen. Nothing impactful is going to happen, shall I say. For those of you in here, make sure to like the stream if you have not already. Check out the latest episode of the Mets Weekly podcast. Pretty much talked about everything that went on. Justin Verlander's injury, the update with that. Alvarez's playing time, the comments that Buck made about that. We talked about that. Eduardo Escobar just being completely useless. Carlos Carrasco, his whole situation. I also turned a clip from the podcast into a video that I just posted today. But I thought I would just come on here because I needed to get it out. And that was it. So this is going to be corrected in the next offseason. Boy, I hope so. I freaking hope so. I hope it's corrected at the trade deadline, but we can't trade away any prospects that we're not even going to use because this team just loves old guys. So, yeah. That's another thing. There's so many things that the Mets and their thought process that just bug the living crap out of me. They really do. I really hope, I'm not calling for Epler's head yet. But if you don't see a change by the end of April, middle of May, if some prospects are not in here, if we still have Eduardo Escobar in the lineup every fucking day, it takes a lot for me to say fire a general manager. Right? It takes a lot for me to say that because I'm not one to be very irrational 24/7. I'll make my overreaction jokes or whatever. But whatever. I think that the thought process with this team is just very flawed. It's a problem. I think Stearns comes, bring him on, I guess. But the thing is that Escobar's typically a second half guy. I don't even want him here at all. So we've already seen the capacity of Eduardo Escobar. So by Memorial Day, we will know for sure. No. I hope so. But in the meantime, I'm just not having fun, guys. Let me know if you're having fun, because I'm not having fun. So. Meanwhile, DeGrom's throwing gems. No. DeGrom's been injured forever. I don't know what you're talking about, man. DeGrom's the only he's the only injury-prone pitcher in the league. So that's why he's not here. Yeah. At least we got Verlander. He never gets hurt. We get a lot of shit for, saying that we're negative or we're overreacting or whatever, but there's a lot more of just, doomsday blurbs or whatever you want to call it. And constructive criticism based on actual facts of what you're seeing right now on the field. You don't need to be a high volume analytics person to realize that this lineup is not good enough. Didn't he get rocked in his first start? Not really. He kind of just got some shit luck, but yeah, I mean, if you're in terms of results, yeah, I think he did give up 5. But he's been rolling ever since. So whatever. DeGrom wouldn't fix this offense though. So that's not what I'm talking about right now. But I would have brought DeGrom back, but I would have done it. I would have given him the 5 years, but what do I know? Verlander's a better investment. Let's not forget. No matter if he's here, he won't be scoring. We won't score from. Yeah. Maybe DeGrom saw that we're going back with the same lineup and said, nah, fuck this. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's again, I'm not saying it's a bad lineup. I'm just saying it's not good enough. Because I'm sure that they'll find a little bit of consistency, but it's not going to last. Especially matching up against these other teams that hit a lot of homers. The Mets have to go base to base. They have to go station to station. Not to mention the lack of versatility that they have on this roster of guys with like one very partially above average tool that they have. Like Vogelbach, yeah, he walks a lot, but when he gets on base, I mean, I'll leave the fat jokes aside, but DeGrom would have to provide his own run support. Yeah, true. MVP. But hey, whatever. They had many chances to fix this problem, and they believed that this team was good enough. So let's see it. I don't know what to say anymore. This style of baseball just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let Verlander bat. I want to see the guy get on the mound first. But tomorrow's Tyler McGill day. You guys know I like Tyler McGill, so I'll be watching him. I'm not going to be watching for the offense because, it's too predictable. I've had enough. I really have. It's just delusion. It really is. And I'm sure I might do some other videos about the Mets offense and how much of a problem that this probably is. And I'll go maybe a little bit more into depth because obviously I'm not popping up just like, full on numbers on the screen for you guys. But yeah, need a bat. Change needs to happen with this offense. Lost this game in the first inning. I mean, they need a lot more than a bat. They need, not only do they need a bat that can protect Alonso, they need to get rid of a lot of useless fat on this roster, a lot of dead weight. And even though, you can't have an elite player at every position and every spot on the roster, you look at some of these other rosters that, they have guys who, can adapt to this part. Like you can talk about the Phillies all you want about how like, the bottom of their lineup isn't that good or whatever. But they could hit the ball out of the ballpark when you need them to. Or they can hit the ball out of the ballpark at any time. All they need is a pitcher to make one mistake. And not to mention, here's another thing, the pitch clock, a pitcher there is more of a window for a mistake. Just makes the home run ball even more important. And they chose to ignore it. They didn't even want to take a flyer on a guy who has hit for power before. A Miguel Sano, a Luke Voigt. Who else was out there? Even in a veteran. They love veterans. They love old guys. Evan Longoria. Get him. He's still a 25 to 30 home run bat or whatever it is. He can hit lefties. Turner was the bat. We should have. I don't know. Right. I don't think Turner was going to happen. But The only pool noodles that we should have in our lineup is our leadoff hitter and our 9-hole hitter. Like that's all I'm really good with, to be honest. Like if you want to keep Jeff McNeil here, keep Jeff McNeil here, but I'm sorry, in this era of baseball, the guy's batting ninth. Like it's just how it is. And if you were to call up your prospects, right? I did have a lineup combination as to where there's enough power throughout the lineup, and a lot of the guys who have less power, they're towards the end of the lineup or they're at the top of the lineup. It was Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, and then you'll like have Alvarez there. You'll have Beatty, Vientos, all guys who have power. And if you want to slide Mauricio in there because he's killing it this year. How do you spend? I don't know, man. They it's just not the right decisions. It really isn't. It's just being out of touch with the game. And I think that's really what they've just been. I really think that's just what they've put in their thought process. And there's even more to this story that I'm sure I'll get into depth wise in like a video or something. Me and like Andrew will probably do like a video together about like the Mets offense and why this isn't going to work out and why it's not going to sustain and why it's just not a World Series lineup. And it's all just going to be constructive. It's not going to be, oh, they just suck, they're never going to do anything again. No, it's going to be constructive based on actual fact. I'm not negative, I'm just honest. And when I see something that I don't like, I'm going to tell you. It's how we are here. Not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. If you want somebody else to tell you what you want to hear, go somewhere else. And I'm sure all those creators are great. Got nothing against them. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. The world is great. Lucky if we see 75 wins. Listen, I'm not running it past this team because I'm not confident in this lineup. I really am not. I'm not really worried about the pitching, but I'm excited to hear Frank's take on the situation. I imagine he's furious. Yeah, Frank's tanks are Frank's takes. Jesus Christ, Frank's takes. They're really not aging very well. So, which makes me very happy. So I control him. Escobar was a swing and a miss. Yeah, I mean, I tried to tell him that he's not good, but didn't want to listen to me. The counting stats don't matter, folks. Doesn't matter. Go Knicks. Yeah, Theo, I'll see you, man. Shout out to you, man. You've been a supporter of the channel for a while, so let's go Mets, man. Thanks for stopping by. All right. I mean, we all knew the problem with I think we all knew the problem with this team, but this is just it's a problem. It is a problem. Brady Mauricio on. Yeah, I mean, it's not that the fact that they don't have any fire on this team, it's the fact that they don't have any youth on this team. I mean, if you want to go around this entire roster, right? Exclude Alvarez. Who's actually considered a kid, right? Think about it. Who do you consider a kid? You know, Marte, 34. Escobar, 34. Nimmo's 30. He's not young. Canna's 33. You know, and then you have your oldest dirt rotation. Justin Verlander's 40. Max Scherzer is 38. Senga may be a rookie, but he is 30. You know, he's 30 years old. Yeah, Nimmo's 30. Yeah, it's crazy. I remember him being it's crazy because I remember the day this guy getting drafted out of high school from Wyoming. So it's crazy to think about. I feel old knowing that Nimmo's 30. McNeil's 31. I mean, Alonso is 28 now. 28? 28? 29? 28? Yeah. Lindor's 29. Nito's 29. Quintana, 34. Carrasco, 36. The young guys on our team, considerably. The young guys. The young guys. Tyler McGill and David Peterson. Both of them are 27. Where's Beatty at? In AAA, because he's too young to be here. I agree with everything you said. Keep talking about it. Maybe they'll change. I hope so. Email it to Billy Epler. Vientos should be up here too. Like, listen, I'm not someone who, again, I'm not someone who fully invests into a prospect being my future insert position here, but you need something. If you're not going to do it externally, you might as well do it internally. At this point, I'd say, but they're not going to cut the dead weight because they love their veterans. So it's just not going to happen. If you had the option, would you blow up the team and start fresh or just start retooling? I wouldn't blow up the team, but I would send a lot, and I mean a lot, of players into the incinerator. Absolutely. In terms of versatility, in terms of like just everything. There's too much stuff that I would do with this roster to even explain. There's way too much stuff that I would do. To be honest, a few of those things I wouldn't be able to do at this point in terms of value. Like we talked about this, and this was a video clip that was just posted about Carrasco. They should have traded him. They should have traded him. It made too much sense. But they didn't want youth. They wanted to keep it old. And in addition to that, you also bring in Justin Verlander, 40. Yeah, I'm not ready to. I would call up. I'm not ready to ship Alvarez out of here. I can tell you right now. He needs playing time in order to develop. That's the thing. They need their major league reps. him playing one every 4 days is just not, he's obviously going to struggle. Like these rookies are going to struggle. You can't just bring them up and down into AAA. And as for Parada, it doesn't look like he's going to be a catcher for that long. But that's a discussion for another day. Otani and Machado aren't spring chickens either. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Those of you who have not liked the stream yet, please do. It's free. If you guys are new here, hit the subscribe button. Come out with content throughout the week. Podcast every Monday. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more out throughout the season, but it just gets a little crazy. There's a lot of work that goes into this stuff, so I just wanted to hop on live here because I just been holding this in for a long time, obviously, but it just doesn't work. This type of offense doesn't work, and it's really sad when the Syracuse Mets lineup is more entertaining than this lineup. I'm thinking, like, what is point of throwing money if the same results appears ownership? Well, they actually they have a thought process of what they actually want to do. It's just they're trying to win, but it's just not going to work. I did not see that. I said it weeks ago. This offense sucks. Yeah, I mean, it's just not it just doesn't work. It doesn't work in this era of baseball. It just doesn't work. Been a Mets fan since 1962, and I have no hope for a World Series. Well, they keep hitting like this. They're not going to get one. But yeah. I think it's more they've talked about sustainable success so much throughout this front office, and I just don't understand their approach with this lineup and this roster that they have. Alvarez DH. I mean, DH catcher. Beatty third. I mean, Beatty should automatically be the third baseman already. Throw Mauricio in left field. Yeah, we'll see what they do. I'm intrigued to see what they do with Mauricio because they've not changed him to another. They have not swapped him to another position yet. So I don't know. Maybe they're looking to trade him at the deadline. I don't know, but we'll see. Mauricio's value is up right now. So if they're going to trade him, they could. Trade bait, I'm assuming. It's possible. Yeah. Very possible. But Beatty should already be up here. And the Nimmo signing was ridiculous? No. I don't believe that. They needed to keep Nimmo. Nimmo I'm not worried about. I mean, Nimmo, he's off to a tough start. He's still getting on base like he usually does, like a leadoff hitter is supposed to do. But no, they needed to bring back Nimmo. Nimmo's a really important piece to this offense. Should have. Yeah, I mean, they should have. Yeah, I know he played a little bit of third base in the Dominican Winter League, and nothing really came of that. But we'll see. Nice kid. Kid don't win. There's nothing wrong with. I can tell you right now. There's nothing wrong with Nimmo. Nimmo's the least of the Mets' problems. Yeah, exactly. Nimmo's going to be fine. I know Nimmo's going to be fine. It's more of it's more of just like the lineup as a whole, just the offense as a whole. That's a problem. I'm not really worried about the Nimmo or McNeil or Alonso or Lindor. Like, I'm not worried about our top guns. I'm just worried about this whole team actually producing like the offense they should, but they're not going to. In all seriousness, team is mishmash of crap. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah. Just it's just not going to work. It isn't going to work. And as soon as they figure that out. So this isn't on Buck. I think there's equal blame here. The coaching staff, there's, the front office, you could talk about Buck here, but I don't know. I mean, overall, I don't think Billy Epler is a big market GM. He just isn't. I also don't think Buck Showalter is good enough to lead us to a World Series. He's never done it in his career, and I don't see him doing it in this era of baseball, especially in the ways that he's valuing a lot of these players on this roster, guys who are older, guys who are not going to get better in their career. I mean, for God's sakes, he has one fucking roster spot for Tim LeCastro, who's good for his legs. Legs. The lineup after Alonso, I mean, it's always been death row after that. If Alonso doesn't hit, they're not hitting. So, and it's even worse of a factor because even if Alonso does hit, he's going to have to hit for everything. Too many holes in this lineup. There's way too many. There's guys here that I individually like as players, but together as a team, it's just not good enough. It really isn't. Yeah, I just wanted to get on here, chat this stuff up with you guys. I probably have some stuff out tomorrow. Yeah. Any last questions? I'll stay on for another 5 minutes and then I'm going to call it. And we're going to be talking about this throughout the entire season if this is, a problem. But yeah. Get rid of Vogelbach, Pham, Canna. I would love for this lineup to be so good. I would love for this lineup to be so good and so deep. And I have a lineup, and I did design a lineup that it makes it so deep where Canna, he's not the best hitter. He's not the best, threat or whatever. He's not batting fifth. He's batting ninth. Like, I'll try to find it. I typed it out earlier today. I'll show you guys. Like, here's a lineup that, like, think about this, right? Nimmo leading off, center fielder. Marte, right fielder. Lindor shortstop, Alonso first base, Alvarez catcher, Beatty third base, Vientos DH, McNeil second base, and then Canna left field. Like, you have power protection around Alonso. Now, obviously, like that lineup, you can obviously switch things around. But something like that. Or maybe is it possible that they do move Mauricio to left field and they bring him up just to have his bat in the lineup? Is it possible that maybe they do a DH platoon with Mauricio and Vientos? Maybe. Is that possible? Maybe. Better than what's there now? Yeah. You like that lineup? Thank you. Appreciate it. Worked very, very hard on it, just like how Buck does. McNeil feels too low on the lineup you just mentioned. Doesn't have power. Like, that's just how this game is now. You have to put your noodles on the end, and in the middle, you got to have power. You know, it's just, yeah, McNeil's a great hitter, and he would be the leadoff hitter on any lineup, but Nimmo's a better leadoff hitter than anyone. He's our guy that leads off. Like, that's his solidified spot, right? And McNeil just doesn't have any power. Like, he's just not, he can't be batting fifth behind Alonso. It just can't happen. You know, you can obviously flip-flop that around a little bit. But, and maybe they do move Vientos and they bring in some kind of bat, like I've said, Eloy Jimenez, who can also play the outfield as well. So show some versatility. I prayed and prayed and prayed for the Mets to go after Jock Peterson. He accepted the qualifying offer with San Francisco. But that's somebody that I would definitely want in free agency, or maybe possibly trade for, because some other teams actually trade pending free agents, unless you're the Mets, who don't like to trade expiring contracts that they know are not going to be back the next year. But that's a different story. There's a lot of things that bugs me about this team. For them to be one of the top-notch organizations, they're not really quick on their feet sometimes. That's just how it feels. They're like, sometimes they're quick on their feet and then they do things too late, or they just don't finish the job. And it gets aggravating, really does. And again, like saying Canna could be a platoon player, that's also possible. If the Mets could make a lineup, and they have a possibility where they could, because they have some assets in where they could do that. If Canna, if Canna is our fourth outfielder, like if this team is so good that Canna is our outfielder, then you're set. I mean, I know one of my co-hosts, Andrew, he talked about getting Hunter Renfroe. He could play out the outfield, also, protect Alonso, and he could platoon with Canna, right? Or he could also be in the lineup. His bat could also be in the lineup. And trading for Hunter Renfroe and possibly trading, whether it was Mark Vientos, or trading, one of the arms, in their farm system, or whether was trading, I don't know, David Peterson, or trading somebody. But that didn't happen. They refused to get power. Like, they refused to do it. They refuse to look at power. They just refuse to ignore it. They choose to ignore it. There we go. They get guys that seem like they do, but they're not going to sustain to do it, to contribute to a lineup day in and day out, 9 days out of 10. Nimmo, McNeil, Lindor, Alonso, Beatty, Marte. I don't know. I like Marte in the 2-hole. It's just me. Hunter Renfroe in the clubhouse. That's I'd bat in the clubhouse. That's very important to the front office and 7 Yeah. Wait, is Hunter was there like some kind of deal with Hunter Renfroe? Did he have like some kind of thing? To be honest, I don't give a shit. Yeah. We have so many nice guys. That's why Dom Smith is so successful. And that's why JD Davis did so well here. And that's why Robinson Cano's still here and Darren Ruff and all these nice guys. That's why Eduardo Escobar is thought so highly of, because he's nice. I really don't give a shit. Just hit bombs. You can be a Nazi sympathizer for all I care. If you hit bombs, you hit bombs. I think I'm going to hop off here before I say something I regret on the internet. Yeah. Sometimes brutal honesty can open up the gate for some fire. So, yeah, this he's a good clubhouse guy is way overrated. Listen, the '86 Mets did it on cocaine, beating the living crap out of each other on the travel bus. I mean, you know, want to bring some coke into the dugout? I'm fine with it. To be honest, anybody can get alert and feel invincible for an hour or two. Gotta get back to work. Have a good night. All right, I'll see you, Mikey. Thanks for stopping by. All right. I think I'm gonna hop off here, guys. But for those of you who tuned in for this mini rant / Mets talk / this / that, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We got stuff that goes out during the week, especially featuring our podcast that goes out every Monday. The newest episode was just uploaded yesterday. And yeah. We talk all things Mets, pretty much. And I'm hoping, guys, fingers crossed, this is between me and you. I'm hoping to get my Twitter account back in the next week. So, fingers crossed, hopefully. So then you guys can keep up with a lot more going on. Need to bring up Beatty and Mauricio. Looks like it, man. It looks like it. I would tell the Mets front office that, because I don't know. I don't know how you can take one look at this lineup. You're banned. Yeah, long story. Not for something was, yeah. You're the best. Thank you for the truth. You're welcome. You're banned. I was too. Yeah, something I said was taken out of context. I got locked out of the account. And then I made a new account, and then they banned the old account that I got back for evading suspension. Apparently, I was like some kind of refugee. And then, yeah, so that's been out. And then I have another account which I use from time to time, but kind of sucked losing 1,400 followers. Something that worked with. I mean, obviously, I don't get paid to tweet, but if I did, I'd be on it a lot more. But I'm gonna hop off here, guys. Thank you guys for those of you tuned in. Jesus Christ. Hey, be nice to Wardy. Wardy's a good guy. All right. Jesus Christ. Okay. I'm gonna hop off here, guys. Let's go Mets. Hopefully we see something new tomorrow. Ooh. But thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you guys haven't seen the new episode of the Mets Weekly Podcast, it's out on the YouTube channel on the 8 different listening platforms above my head. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, even though we're not the most active on there. Just some ways that you can keep up with us. So, But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Let's go Mets.